Today, we deep dive into the world of conflicts. What's going on around the world? We need to stay grounded. Now, over the last 2 weeks, I've been a little bit more into celebritism than I would like. I like to stay grounded. Politically, I've been bitching and moaning about big tech figures and the things they are not doing. I've been diving into rug pullers, scammers of the new world. It is an exhausting career choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ground this today in something tangible, something regional, and something rich. So we're going to look at the conflicts of the globe, and that includes the economic crisis in Sri Lanka, the terrorism that has long been waging on in Bangladesh, the issues in India. We're going to look at Pakistan and the digital blackouts that have been evolving over time. Gaza conflict, the famine declaration of the week. We're going to understand what on earth's going on there. We need to know these things. People, come on. It's not every day who done this and who done that, who's wearing the greatest dress. No. We need to get to grips with humanity. So we're going to look at Trump and Iran. What is the latest there? Because there's been beef kicking off there for a really, really long time. Trump and Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom just brought out some brand new merch. We're going to look at that. We're also going to tap in on cyber. But the main reason I want to do this is because M&S, Marks and Spencer's in the UK, a well-known brand that has had really long links and ties to Israel, right? Because of the founders, creators, it goes back. There was a cyber attack there. We're going to look at that. I'm not going to tell you too much, but we're going to go there. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're going to risk that. We're not scared. We're not tapered at the tongue. We speak on truth. And we identify what's going on around the world. So we're going to tap in on that. And we're also going to check on the UK and China relations. And as we're talking beef, conflict, war, drama, battles, well, we're going to have to talk about the greatest battle of all in the community, Drake and Kendrick. Are you aware that Drake is still fighting legal now with the Universal Music Group? We're going to go there. We are going there. But not only that, when we have enough time on the clock, we're going to dive into a list of corporations in deep with antitrust. From Google, Meta, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Visa, Live Nation, Ticketmaster, the KKR, and a whole load more, including Booking.com, all wrapped up in antitrust. We're going to go there in antitrust today. Let's go. We're about to deep dive. Okay, the economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka endured a severe economic collapse from 2019 to 2022, highlighted by rampant inflation and debt default. A recovery began in late 2024, helped by IMF, so that's the Monetary Fund. What's the I stand for? International, that's the one. The International Monetary Fund. And they funded this and put in a debt restructuring. Yeah, within this, we're looking at about 12.55 billion consolidation via bonds. This led to about a 4.4% growth in 2024, and inflation dropped dramatically from 64% to around 0.5% by August 2024. So the International Monetary Fund came in and said, we're going to fucking fix this shit. And this is what's so beautiful and what anyone engaged in should really, really understand, and why globalization is so important. Not the scaling up of being a global, but you've got to understand what these global figures are actually doing. Let's start the conversation today as we deep dive around the world about globalization, because there's this hatred, there's this ideology, there's this intimidated and also ignorant aspect of anyone in a position of power, anyone doing anything global, disgraceful, destroy them, demolish them. We've got people screaming hate on billionaires just because they're in a position of power and they're doing things on such a global level with such a massive net worth. The hatred just grows and grows and grows. But you've got to look at these people in the positions of power that they're in, and not everyone's great, and we're not going to say any of them are great, but what have they produced? What are they doing? Let's use Jeff Bezos, for example, here. What does he do? He's built Amazon. Bill Gates, this is where my brain folds over and over again in absolute confusion. Bill Gates. So you don't use Microsoft Word. You don't use Microsoft Excel. You don't use PowerPoint. No one you know uses all of those things. Okay, fine. If you don't use Microsoft at all in your life and it doesn't help you in any way whatsoever, fine. Not a problem. Next. You hate him. Pie him again. Go on. I get it. But if you do, and I believe that 99.9% of the population surely do, or am I naive to the fact that we need these tools? Because to me, Microsoft is foundational to existence. That's how deep it is. So he's rich because he has something that's foundational to existence. Jeff Bezos changed the ideology of shopping, purchasing power. You're going to hate him because he's rich. But you go on to his application or his website and you click and you purchase something, potentially in the same day delivered to your front door. Are you hating on that ideology? Or are you grateful that that service is now provided? Do you get what I mean? Come on, guys. You've got to understand people are doing amazing things and we have to value that. They're rich because they're creating amazing things. We can say the same thing about Zuckerberg, who I bitch about all the time, and I go yin and yang with this one. But once again, strip back everything else, look at the mechanics. Do you use Facebook? Have you used Facebook before? Have you ever used Facebook? What a silly question. 99.9% of the population would say yes. That's not formal figures either, guys. I'm throwing them out my arse. But the truth of the matter is that a high percentile of the population use Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp to get by on a day-to-day basis. They help people, right? I'm not going in on the dark side today. I'm going to try and be nice. But we're looking at why these things have such a massive markup, why there's so much money attached to it, because they're helping, they're doing things, they are service providers, and the service they are providing is being taken up by the mass population. So you may be hating, but you're also using. If you're not a user, cool, be aligned to your truth. Actualize your vibration and your mindset and go, yeah, I hate that ideology, hate rich, hate globalisation. I'm not going to use any of this stuff. No, then you're integritous. You're aligned to your morals. Beautiful. But if you're hating, but you're still using, there's an offset here. And that's my point today. So let's keep going with Sri Lanka, because it's worth identifying that everybody hates the top of the chain. International Monetary Fund, World Bank, WHO, all of these corporations that come with a lot of negative connotation and conspiracy, but we're looking at who's going to help prevent collapse in serious times of need on a global scale. Who has the global network, the global infrastructure, the global intelligence, the desire to help regionally to solve a problem that humanity has? Not advocating for any of these corporations at the top. The reason Hermitology came in was like, whoa, this is all a bit higgledy-piggledy. I've got chaos theory in my foresight. I would like to streamline and lattice all of this. Let's try and make this stable, please. And let's try and make people understand that the top of the chain and the bottom of the chain are all still part of the chain. Can we find Namaste and oneness in what we all are exuding here, which is same, one and the same, planet Earth? Can we ground who we are as a collective? Because now the collective is Earth. Because actually, once again, the multi-planetary movement is a real thing. The moon's getting attention. Mars is getting attention. We're looking at other planets as options for the future. So as we do that, and Congress keeps slowly throwing us a bone of declassified intelligence on extraterrestrials, we might want to eat that. We might want to sit with that. We might want to lock that in our cranium and perceive reality to be somewhat more than we currently believe it is, and not hate on a global frontier, a global paradigm, a global infrastructure, when the world is starting to spin different, to say the least. Yeah? So in relation to Sri Lanka, let's get back to it, and the genuine stats that are here are actually genuinely provided by AI. The World Bank reports 5% growth in 2024, though 2025 is expected to slow too. About 3.5%, with poverty still at around 24.5%, and many households are yet to recover from this collapse. Now, this comes to me in a flash of the memory of the whole of Sri Lanka in uproar, riots, chaos all over the place, and it was just devastating sights to see on the news. The fall of government, the fall of the leading figure at the time in Sri Lanka. It was a really, really difficult time, and I've never seen economic collapse like it, to be honest, in my years of research. It was really fever pitch, and I was overwhelmed and quite saddened to see the struggle that was going on there, you know. So growth forecasts for 2026 and 27 remain modest at around 3.1%. Challenges include a large brain drain, weak fecal discipline, keywords here, weak fecal discipline, and deferred structural reforms. This is so important, guys. I love the fact we're starting with Sri Lanka today and we're having some education about this, because it says especially in state-owned enterprises. Now, keywords I want to hone in on this conversation is enterprises, state-owned enterprises, structural reforms, and weak fecal discipline. These are gorgeous words to show up in this brief, because what they really, really highlight is how economic collapse is really, really rooted in the infrastructure of what we're doing. And when we're talking about that fecal, we're talking about everyone that's in charge. Now, these people are not the global figures. They are the regional and the national figures. And it depends on their relationship with global at the top of the chain, the top of the pyramid, that really, really defines output for us people on the ground. So it's so important that we have healthy relations, top down and bottom up, with everybody here. And that's what we advocate for here. And that's why we really dive into global, because it's like, guys, we need to see the people at the top. Because what the people do at the top and what the people provide at the top impacts the people at the bottom, right? It really, really does. And the collapse of Sri Lanka is really, really rooted in that lack of structure. And the reforms and the changes, every time there's a new elect, we get shifts. Like Trump coming in, the tariffs create so much problems for us. And what I feel like the economy's on, and this is interesting, and this is a little bit of world order, Illuminati, conspiracy conversation, but still grounded in world leaders at this time, right? The activities of extraterritorial organizations and bodies, because we look at the world at large and we see that the world is on a kilter, a seesaw. And what I identify over and over again with every election, and this is where we get war. So I'm glad we're pinning this. This is where the conflict resides, with that left and the right, the Republic and the Democrats, the yin and the yang, the back and the forth. Whether you have an election every 5 years, 4 years, 20 years, that's when the tide turns. And what I've identified, and what is real debilitating to me, but wait, I say that screaming democracy is an absolute must, but we bounce. We bounce from the left to the right, to the left to the right, to the left to the right. And that's the yin and yang. That's flow state. That's what we need. That's the infinity symbol. Yeah? But in that same breath, we need a constant variable. We need constants across the board here. And this is where things like the sociological paradigm come into play. This is where we start looking at ecological well-being as a constant and measures and spectrums. This is where the applied science of her really comes into play, because it really is devastating to see the Trump activation and his reign, his work. The moment we get to vote again, if we go back to Democrats, everything he's done is getting flipped. That's all that happens. Every election, we set all this stuff in precedence, we run with it for as long as we can, then we vote again, and then whoever comes in throws that agenda in the skip and starts again. Same with the UK. UK's in absolute trouble right now because we threw the Conservatives to the side, screaming, "We want better." That wasn't that, and I am talking of the collective. That definitely wasn't me, because I've been on the Conservatives' arse, in love with them. Come on, Conservatives, you are the way. Oh, fantastic. So that's not me. I say we, refraining from that perspective, but the majority is what I mean when I say we. Everyone said, no, we need a change. Conservatives are the worst. No, they've got to go. So in comes Labour. Now Labour are claiming they've inherited a black hole and the economy's sinking. It's because they're coming in to take over from a job that they've never done before. And we're changing the whole roster, the whole team, everyone involved. And now they're changing the whole game plan that we had in place. Now we are trading in human immigration. In my head, I just wanted to say human trafficking, signed off on by the Labour government and Macron. If a human gets over to you that shouldn't be there, I'll take him back, but then you take someone else. We're trading in human. Is that okay? And I hate having these heavier kind of conversations as well, because obviously it's not a nice thing to say that your government's doing, but we should probably look at the context of all of that. I'm gonna dive into that, and we're gonna have a deeper conversation. We're gonna open a can of worms today, because we have to look at the role of the government and what they choose to initiate. And it may be harsh and a little bit pseudo conspiracy from me to imply that the government's human trafficking over here between the French border and the United Kingdom, but it's how we hoard and we gather and we move citizens around the world. We initiated something in Rwanda under the Conservative government. The Supreme Court threw it out. Global, in regards to the United Nations, didn't approve of our activity. Some of that got stopped and blocked. But there was already agreements and money on the table with Rwanda, and Rwanda building specific accommodation for the people based off our agreements and some of the money we put in. Sometimes we don't say the money's for this exact purpose, but we're donating for this and we're giving for this, and we've come on board and signed a treaty or whatever for this, and there's money in the pot that's come out of our pot that now Rachel Reeves is fucking claiming is a black hole, but we've been doing the right thing with what we've got and what we know. And the maddest thing about government and the left and the right is we all come in with a manifesto, an agenda. But the truth of the matter is that agenda doesn't really uphold that. Only the infrastructure stays. Only the core stays, because we've got to move in real time. Life's real. And everyone's sitting on the backbench dreaming of what could be and what we may want to do to make the world the greatest place, or our region the greatest region. But the truth of the matter is when we are live, there's no time to manifest and build and strategize. You just it's a go, go, go situation. And it's a lot harder. So it's sad to see the economies just keep going to the left and going to the right and going to the left and going to the right. And it really does make a difference when we have these institutions at the top of the chain that somewhat appear to be the only corporations on the board on the planet that have a universal scope that is maintaining ecological well-being across the board, free from political agenda, free from that left or right. These kind of corporations are presenting as the grey. And often they're quite hated for that. But that's also providing them with an ability to be anti-biased and offer support in different ways. And that means they're getting funded from loads of different departments. But that funding is then going back into the ecosystem. My issue is it hasn't been going back into the ecosystem through all of the layers, because people at the bottom of the chain are not receiving it. But these changes are needed. Not only that, we have a beautiful thing I want to address while we're on this topic is the EBT and Trump's new initiative. So to sum up Sri Lanka, recovery is underway, but poverty persists, growth outlooks are fragile, reforms needed to sustain gains and tackle structural weakness. So they are going through it. They're not as bad as they were, but it is a really, really, really long road. And obviously it isn't in the West, so they've already been more poverty stricken anyway, and they're going to continuously need more and more support. We can only hope that there isn't anything like terrorism or disaster that rises in these areas that makes this worse. We need to make sure that they have a strong structural plan for the next decade, and that any likelihood of war is prevented. It's a strong defense also, and then they can just start to repair. And then the government affiliation in this area, they really need to work boots on the ground, building strong resilience and healthy relations between the mass pop and them as leading figures of the nation as well, because we need harmony. We have to at least attempt to harmonize these regions of the world, okay? So let's move on. Okay, we have to dive into EBT. That is electronic benefit transfer. The system used to deliver benefits like SNAP, formerly known as food stamps, to recipients via a card, much like a debit card. Everyone's going bananas about this. The card is loaded each month with funds that can be used to buy eligible food items at participating stores. SNAP is administered federally by the USDA. Those states distribute the benefits, right? If you don't know, the USDA is the United States Department of Agriculture, okay? It is a federal executive department responsible for overseeing US agricultural and food policies. So that includes promoting farming and livestock production, ensuring food safety, protecting natural resources, and supporting rural development, okay? So they are really here pushing this initiative as a way for people to eat, right? That's the EBT. Now, what's juicy about this situation is there have been several major policy overhauls in 2025 because of the Trump administration. This has created controversy online, loads of viral videos of people going to the tills and checkouts and they can't buy their TV dinner. Mwah, mwah. You can't buy the packet of chips you want. You can't buy the muffins you want. You can't buy the donuts that you want, and you vex at the till. That's not on you, is it? It's on the government. So you want to cuss and bitch and moan and cry at the government? We're going to look at this. It's not fair. I have a personal opinion. Feel free to put yours in the comments. But at the end of the day, the government is here to help. They are providing you with money because you do not have enough. Clearly, the government have already fucked up because they haven't trained the population enough. And I will say train. I can say taught. But if we're going to look at psyops, and we've already started going into conspiracy conversations today, and I've just told you the truth about globalisation, and everybody on this planet is literally an O1 of construction and a part of the mass population from the people at the top of the chain, I'll tell you the truth here, then at the end of the day, your output is based on what you are being input. And you are not being taught how to cook, clearly. You are not being taught how to eat healthy food. You're not being taught how to get higher jobs, more income, better lifestyles. You're not being taught quality of life. That's been the history we've seen here. And that's harsh to say, and I'll say that as the really annoying candidate for New York has already come out, along with a range of other people, talking about how billionaires shouldn't exist. At the end of the day, we need to learn how to accrue more wealth. Every single mayor, governor, leader of this world, guess what you should be focused on? How do we accrue more wealth? Because you know what wealth means? An abundance. It means a better quality of life. Do you know where the wealth and abundance comes from? Sustainable activity and consistency within an economic infrastructure. Do you know what that actually looks like? When you break it down and you really dive into the derivatives, it looks like healthy ecological well-being distributed across your ecosystem that stems from the O1, the population, the mass pop, your people. It comes down to humans flourishing. So although we pull back and we look at the figures and numbers and we hate and we bitch and some people are rich and some people are poor and this is wrong and this isn't fair, if we can get it right and really balance out that top-down, bottom-up, this is clearly a bitch this week of the top-down, bottom-up synergy that's needed for all of us to flourish here, then everyone on the floor can have a better quality of life. I believe this initiative is going to change the world. Now, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I did say it yesterday, so I'll share it with you. A little humiliated that I'm being this nice towards Trump, but I'll say it. Because I'll say it. Not for now. We'll give it about a decade. 10 years from now, 12 years from now, we'll review these figures and we'll decide whether or not whoever initiated this regulation shift with EBT deserves a Nobel Prize or not. Because I really do believe, let's push to 22, 24 years. Let's see longevity first in the research. But I do believe that this shift is going to change the world in major, major ways. Specifically America, right? If America can pull off this, I didn't even explain it to you guys. I'm jumping ahead. The junk food cap. No, you cannot get these TV dinners, these crisps, these sweets, these junk foods. You can get flour, butter, bread, eggs. You can get home staples and you can learn to cook, yeah? That's going to change. America is the fattest place in the world. That needs to change. People die more frequently in America because of obesity. And America is the only place in the world I know where there's a more increased population of people who can't actually leave their bedrooms. Have you seen those documentaries where people are stuck in one room and they're bigger than the sofa? I haven't seen that for any other nation other than the United States. So are we talking about a world 20 years from now, 30 years from now, where everybody can walk in and out of door frames in the United States without getting stuck? Yeah, we are. Are we talking about improved cholesterol, improved health, better access to jobs and education, potentially? Because actually a lot of people are unemployed. Having access to junk food, TV dinners, are unemployed. Eating TV dinners. So if we could improve that, now you're cooking. Now your day involves making a meal, prepping a meal, learning a recipe. I mean, we can all watch TikTok, can't we? And watch a dance move all day. You can watch a short. You can learn how to make a meal in 30 seconds in a reel or short online. That's going to change what we choose to watch. Do you see how one activity like this, one instance like this, a change in regulation like this is going to trickle through the mass population? And it's going to piss off everybody else who doesn't know how to cook. So we do need to improve education in the United States. Culinary school, cooking classes need to be a compulsory thing that happens every single week. I still know how to make some of the most basic recipes because of school. Some of my most comfortable go-to recipes, they came from what I made in food tech. They stay with the kids. They stay with us. So this is a beautiful evolution, I see. I really do. I've just bitched about that for way too long. But it's worth mentioning. Not only that, let's dive into this a little bit more, because we've got stricter work requirements and expanded age range. So new regulations referred to as the big beautiful bill, which a lot of people have been bitching about. A lot of people are fighting against. We've got the lovely Senate Gary Peters, who has been fighting against this. We've got Gavin Newsom fighting against this. And there are really fucked up aspects of this that are benefiting the rich and not the poor. But we've also got to understand where this changes the tide economically and creates much better distribution in relation to econophysics, agent-based models, the healing of the planet. I want to say it like that. Cheesy, but I want to say it like that. Also, ecological standards over time. This is something that's going to improve humanity over time. So I understand the shortfall, and there's going to be people who don't know how to cook. A mother with 4 kids who are under the age of 4, all of them on food stamps. She doesn't know how to cook. She relies on TV dinners and chicken nuggets, and now it meets resistance. And she's up against something. But that is life. I'm sorry. Pain and struggle and challenge makes the man or woman. It does. I say that because life's been shit for me, and although I don't want to have a shit life again, it made me who I am today, so I have to be grateful for it. And I think there's no harm, there needs to be better support services for all of these people, because that single mum with 4 kids, right, who wasn't educated well enough to not get pregnant, with the 4th baby daddy, with no money or job or income or how she was going to survive, because that could have been overseen if education was right from the start as well. Education, guys, maybe. Yeah. But now she's struggling, and that's sad and that's heartbreaking. But what also needs to be there is support for her, because she should be able to go to her local hub and go to a cooking class. She should be able to bring all of her kids to a special event or something, and meet other mums and get support. A lot of people don't go for that. There's gaps in the infrastructure of what every ecosystem needs, but we are on the way here, because this is improving autonomy in real life, on and offline. Okay, so for example, that mum's gonna have to learn how to make chicken nuggets from scratch. And she can make it, and it's going to be fresher, and the kids can get involved in the cooking. It's healthier. She's going to have to manage timing. She's going to have to manage how to use an air fryer and a frying pan and multiple resources while the kids are there. And if they're crying, she's going to have to learn how to keep them engaged, and when they're going to watch TV, when they're going to go to the park, when they're going to take a nap. There's a lot to consider. So I get the struggle and why everyone's screaming that this is wrong, but there are layers to this. And it's about education, it's about putting the work in, and it's about teaching people the way. Yeah? Because this also includes a broadened work mandate. So talking about able-bodied adults without dependents, aged between 18 to 54, have to meet new work requirements and training requirements as well. Now, these rules have expanded to include adults up to the age of 64 as well, removing the homeless and veterans as well. They're exempt. And also former foster youth. That's nice. That's nice. You think that the government are really evil sometimes, and that this big, beautiful bill is atrocious, and there's so many layers to it that it's just not okay. But this is me and where I'm at right now, guys. We're going everywhere today. We're in the thick of the conversation. This is an internal debate I'm having with you guys today. Throw your opinions in the comments. Speak on this in your own unique ways, right, across your own platforms, because it's important. Because you can see that within this bill, and what's so fascinating about government, and when we go left and when we go right, and we're in an era of right, if we want to refer to the Republicans as right, because they just pin on the agents of change, and they've gone right. Homeless, you can't do it. Veterans, you can't do it. Former foster youth, you can't do it. That's nice, because they're the statistically significant ones that will suffer most from this and don't benefit from this kind of approach or this forced change. But everybody else in the population, in the ecosystem, have to try to improve their ability to work. We have to improve working culture. We have to change the dynamics that we have here. We can't have every person at home eating junk food on the government, because otherwise the economy collapses. Sri Lanka's an example of what we don't want to follow. And Trump is seen as such an evil, mean man coming in, initiating this kind of stuff. But I'm telling you now, 20 years from now, this is going to work. What we are in for the next 4 years, specifically, you're going to want to close your eyes. You're going to want to go into cryo and sleep through it. It's disgusting. It's devastating, because many will suffer. Because we're choosing to create something that there isn't a solidified infrastructure for. I want to say solidified infrastructure because I'm talking about loads of areas that are just open and exposed for failings to leak in, and more people to become homeless, more people to struggle, more suicide to increase, more mental health problems. Yeah, a lot of issues arise, and that's just based on human nature. Because that single mum who can't use chicken nuggets anymore and junk food to feed the kids could be making raw chicken and feeding it to the kids, burning food frequently, and the kids going without. Do you see how it trickles down? And these are the problems. But that means that there's a layer of the conversation that we're not looking at. And that is, once again, rooted in education and ecological well-being and support services and understanding your local community. Do you see how the weight of a bill and what it introduces then trickles down into the actions that everybody needs to take who is on the front line? Where are the front line troops that are dealing with this? And that's why I always speak so positively of Gavin Newsom and Gary Senate Peters and even Gary Gensler, because their roles put them in this really intermediary space where they have the expertise and knowledge and they understand what's the legislation is, but they're also engaged with the people, the constituents. They know what needs to kind of happen or what the effect is, and that makes you blue, that makes you depressive, that makes you angry, that makes you a renegade like Gavin Newsom is now. My goodness, the Newsom is on one, absolutely on one, but he has to choose a path, a role. And if you see what your people are going through, and you've had that single mum crying to you again for the 4th week in a row, she's broken, she's a mess, she's struggling, your heart bleeds for her. Because she's human, and she's struggling, and it's all because of this bill. And we can't see the clear route, and 20 years is a long fucking way away. So what do we do? Yeah? And that's where it comes into effort and community and togetherness and talking and sharing and educating, and definitely not fighting, guys, right? We've had massive cuts to the funding as well. That it's been slashed to roughly 100 to 200 billion over the next decade. You've got to understand how much money is tied up in the economy as well in these areas. And you've got to understand that every single year we have to go through the budget and assess where's this money going. And you understand defence needs more money. So we've got to pull money from here, we're pulling money from locations that we have no choice but to pull money from. That's why Doge came in. Doge came in saying cut that. Why? Because we need more defense. Sounds ridiculous, but once again, Earth needs strong defense. And the wars. We're here talking about conflict. We're still just talking about EBT. But the conflicts around the world with Russia, Iran, we're going to get there in this audio. Bangladesh, India. We've got war everywhere. Cyber war included. We've got serious problems. We all need to level up in defense. That means money needs to come out of all of these other budgets. So there's got to be sacrifice. The tax issues, the main issue where it's the billionaires seem to be winning again. The billionaires seem to be winning again. Take it all from the billionaires. That's the best thing to do. But then it's the weight and the distribution of that is still off to a certain degree, because just because they've got more doesn't mean you eat more. What really stuns me too, and I've never heard anyone advocate for this other than me, right? So where these people are, let me know, because I'm going to have to find some solace eventually. But it's like, just because they're billionaires doesn't take away from the fact that they're still human. They're still human beings. And they didn't start as billionaires. They've built that net. They've accrued that independently. That didn't come out of their arse. Some people are born with silver spoons, some people are not. Everyone screams white privilege left, right and centre. But at the end of the day, most people built their shit for themselves, and they didn't have that money to begin with. So they've accrued this net, and because this net is abnormally high, fuck it, take it all from them. What kind of mental capacity is that? It's horrid. And an approach like that is going to encourage anybody else, whoever desires to have more net, to not. In the United Kingdom, we've got real issues with a lot of people who are some of the highest earners in the United Kingdom packing up and leaving. I'm leaving the UK for good because they're just taking from us. Because now the UK have leveraged all of their net to those that are more well off, and they're just eating away at them through taxes. And those in the UK in good positions can't afford it. Because now they become the middle class. They are shrinking down, and they know it. So they can't even live the life that they've manifested for themselves. Imagine earning all that money, working so hard to accrue that net, and now the government's like, sorry guys, we're going to have to take it all from you because, goodness me, we're struggling. And then everyone hates on the billionaires, and the billionaires are feeding so much of the government. But the billionaires also should be better aligned with the government to help the government flourish. That's the problem. Because the billionaires have got the expertise and the knowledge. How the fuck do they accrue all that wealth is what Gov should be asking them. Gov should be like, hey, can you come and sit with us, show us the way? But no, divide again, yin and yang, left and right. No, we're not going to support. We all should be working together. That's the sad thing as well. So as the budget's been slashed, we've got tightened benefits daily, right? And a real fiscal responsibility on the state to manage all of that. UK struggling with this right now. Tried to push through the welfare bill in the UK, couldn't really even get that agreed upon in the House, So much divides on the left and right. So there's an impact on millions of Americans because of this. Estimates suggest around 2 to 3 million fewer people will receive SNAP now as well. So the people that can actually receive this has reduced. And also, not only this, in regards to 12 million people that used to receive Medicaid, they're also receiving cuts and being blocked as well. So it's a really fucked up scenario. If the United Kingdom didn't have NHS, we would collapse. Nigel Farage talks about it frequently as the Reform Party that is picking up momentum, talks about scrapping the NHS, right? Let me give you another example of what it means when you just pull and change legislation in major ways. You suddenly go, no, we're going to scrap NHS in the UK. The whole economy falls to the floor. And the mass population survive and can never recover. Why? Because no one in the United Kingdom has ever been trained to fund their own healthcare. That would be insanity to remove something like that from the nation. Because no one knows how to fund their own health. We've never had to do that. If we go on holiday, we get health insurance. In the United States, you know that if you get sick, you get ill, there's something wrong with your health, You're going to have to pay for that. You know, you got a problem. I haven't got insurance. I'm going to have to keep that sickness I've got going a little bit longer. I've got a broken this. I've got an infection. Can't afford anything. I ain't got the insurance for it. Different culture. Harsh reality in the US. Very, very harsh. We are privileged as fuck in the United Kingdom because we are covered healthcare wise. And that is a beautiful asset to have. But that changes your mind frame. Because whilst Americans will be programmed to save and improve their health insurance, at least through employment, when your job comes with healthcare packages, the UK is sitting over here not a care in the fucking world about their health. Because we can pull up any day with any issue, you know? So it's things like that to consider economically and how that changes the tide. Not only that, we've got enhanced fraud safeguards as well in regards to EMV chip enabled EBT cards. This is interesting, and this is really, really important for a lot of evolving technology and a lot of amazing things that are coming out in the future in regards to how we use digital chips, cards. We're talking NVIDIA, we're talking even Elon, Neuralink, and whatever OpenAI is producing with their new chip affiliations. Okay, some of that's brain activity, some of that's just a GPU, CPU, microchip, but all of these are really, really important for how we modernize and reform not only the financial infrastructure, but day-to-day digital activity, I guess, and the seamlessness of living and paying and just being on and offline, you know? So we're going to whiz through the main points of this, just so it's on record, which includes increased barriers to getting and keeping benefits, cuts in funding and benefits, both of which lead to food insecurity, which is a word that's been coming up a lot more recently, food insecurity. I like that word because it's the first time in history, in all of my research, I've ever really heard that word be used so fluently. Because it's a very sentimental statement, isn't it? Instead of like famine or food restriction, there's food insecurity. Now there's this insecure feeling around food. And that's being shown in all the viral Walmart moments. Walmart has been repeatedly popping up on the timeline, and they are producing sales and clearance items that are marked at one price. Then you move back the little sticker and you see it was actually cheaper than that before. They've Walmart playing around with marketing really badly, and it is actually illegal with what they're doing. Not only that, another thing that looks illegal is the way that they are weighing products. Their markup on meat, when it's getting run through the scanner, it's saying, for example, one I saw yesterday, it said that was 5.04. It was actually 4.53. That's a massive inconsistency on weight, and you're being charged on the weight of the product. So you're being robbed. So Walmart are outrightly robbing people now. Disgusting. And they're the leading corp, right? Not only that, implementation problems. So with new chip cards, there's this confusion and there's like this failure at checkout, separate to the fact that it's junk food. So when we're introducing new chips and new systems, it's going to be lag and delay and things not working out, and it's really annoying, but that's what's going on in the US. And then there's also this potential state level disruption as well with all of these gaps that I spoke about. So that space, that solidified infrastructure, they're referring it to as operational gaps, which makes more sense because they are not indeed living in a chrono bubble of quantum mechanics. So perceived fairness issues as well. What isn't fair, the cap, the entitlement, who's losing, who's winning. Like the mother that was on my timeline last week who had 9 children, now got pregnant with triplets. She's about to have 12 kids, all on EBT, and the government said, no, she is not. No, she is not. We need to improve culture and education. It's not appropriate. In the UK, we had a family as well, a family of 13, that practically had a mansion. They had to get 2 council houses, put them together, I think knock in the fucking middle wall, turn it into a massive mansion for them. Their whole life they've been living on benefits. We just keep having another child and another child and another child and another child, and every single time I just get upgrades and upgrades and upgrades. People are utilizing the system in the best and worst ways, and it's beautiful when it works for someone who's in serious need. I personally know about being in serious need and being grateful for the government existing, because no one else had me when I was down and out struggling. The government helps, and that's beautiful. And that is magic at its finest, when you can have respect for a government because they generally helped you when you were at your worst. Or they're helping you through a difficult fucking situation that your family and friends can't help you. No one else has got you, but the government's going to prevent homelessness and help you get out of the situation that you're in. So thank goodness for that. Someone's helping. But on the other hand, people utilise and brutalise the opportunities they have and the access that they do have to government funds, and it results in this. So it is an evil, awkward balance between the two. Next. Okay, Bangladesh. Bangladesh has made steady improvements on the Global Terrorism Index, ranking 35th in 2025. Better than India or the US, right? But in early 2025, authorities launched Operation Devil Hunt. You heard that correctly. We're hunting devils now. Detaining over 12,000 individuals, including many Awami League affiliates. Awami League affiliates? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, guys. Amid security concerns, in February, a rare attack on a Bangladesh Air Force base occurred, killing 1 person and injuring others. Meanwhile, banned group that I can't say the name of staged demonstrations in March, and overall they have improved on the terrorism metrics. Yes, there is a terrorism metrics. Yes, there is a global terrorism index. Yes, it is worth looking at these things, guys. Recent uptick in state crackdowns and isolated attacks as well. So there is pressure points and events still occurring, and governance and security tensions do persist. There are different groups that are still out there and active, but government is really on that hunt, openly calling it a devil hunt as well. And that is when you know it's real out here in these streets. Let's just say it like that, okay? Let's quickly dive into India as well while we're here, shall we? Now, India is in the thick of it. That's what I will say. A lot of these things I'm going to pronounce wrong, but I'm going to try. We have to learn, okay? The Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Mahadev. April 2025, 26 civilians were brutally killed in a terror attack, and it has just been chaos in so many different areas in India. The group, the Resistance Front, claim responsibility, and it remains one of the deadliest civilian massacres since Mumbai 2008. So there's a lot going on here. Not only that, following this, Operation Mahadev was launched in July 2025. Indian security forces eliminated 3 key terrorists, including the alleged mastermind of it all as well. And there's been so much going on in regards to identification was confirmed through satellite phone, forensic evidence. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, digging into all of this intelligence. And we're looking at specially designated global terrorist organizations. We're looking at foreign terrorist organizations as well, where we've got the United States designated entities, basically, that are really trying to push for a diplomatic win for India and improve their counter-terrorism. And they're also now advocating heavily for counter-terrorism as well. A lot of other cases in different areas in India. We're looking at Operation Black Forest, which was launched also in late April and May. And that was related to some issues at the border, and there's been large seizures of explosions and weapons as a result of this as well. I mean, it goes deep, way deeper than I can actually explain. Let's just say terrorism, sleeper cells, cross-border handlers, overground workers, authorities, and their affiliation, extremist, radicalist online using specific applications as well. We've got a radical WhatsApp group affiliated with this as well. Holding extremist literature we've got here too. Individuals accused of cyber terrorism as well. Operation Cinder as well has been a big one. So feel free to go and look into all of these, because I cannot dive any deeper into this. It has been an absolute nightmare. Families of victims have expressed both grief and relief. One such response came from the wife of a terrorist who praised the Operation Mahadev and urged continued action to ensure sensitive regions like the Pahalgam are kept safe. Pahalgam. Oh, dearie me, guys. Dearie me. It has really been a situation of there being a high-profile terror incident and a massacre, and that had to be stopped through an intelligence-driven operation that was really in the press and highlighted, and that also brought up issues with Pakistan and India and their relations. But not only that, there's this suppressing internal threats from Maoist, I can't even say it right, insurgents via coordinated security operations. So it's crazy to me that we're using all of these operation names and all of these insurgent style words, because you just wouldn't believe it. Like, it's hard sometimes to process that we are actually here in this day and age where all of this kind of vigilante, cyber warfare, cyber security, terrorism networks and sleeper cells, they're not just in the movies. We're actively in this, and India is a real prime example of some of these stuff. The level of operations coming out of India to try and combat this is really extensive. And they are really trying to progress with de-radicalization, and they're trying to restore normalcy. I can't even say the word. They're trying to get back to normal in affected areas, right? But this has really, really gained international recognition, and it does make a call globally for support, I guess, because it's these kind of terrorist attacks and issues that eventually evolve into the likes of what we're seeing in Ukraine and Russia and past wars in Iran. Like, India's really ramping up in some really, really sad ways in relation to extremism and radicalization, and it needs to be kind of looked at and supported globally, I guess. And we can only hope that someone steps in to just oversee all of this, and that all of these operations can be better support. I don't know, guys. I don't know. There's a lot going through my head here. India need their own peace and their own kind of docket on all of this. There's so many words I can't pronounce, so many different locations that I can't pronounce properly, so many operations that sound like a Eagle Eye movie or something out of the blue. So just sit with the fact that India's in trouble, and we're gonna need to do something about that in time. Yeah. What I've realised is I always set myself a massive, massive goal to deliver so much intelligence to you. There's too much on the roster this week. We're going to spread out the rest of our conversation over the next few weeks so I can really deep dive. There's going to be separate pieces coming out about Trump specifically. We'll do a Trump series. Not only that, we'll dive into the different sections of cyber attack, of celebrity battles and legal issues and different scopes of the UK, but we've got to do it in chunks and we've got to do it in pieces because there is so much going on here. And then we'll do a little antitrust lowdown every now and then, so stay tuned to the YouTube, and there'll be different segments that drop throughout the week or throughout the rest of the year with juicy little snippets of all of the things that really just need to be shared in a quick overview. But this platform over here on X specifically will bring out the longer pieces, about an hour and a half, where we'll dive into the main body of this, okay? But there's so much going on, and I don't like to drop important pieces of intelligence. So we're going to dive into Pakistan now. But dearie me, there is a lot going on. So when it comes to Pakistan, we've been dealing with internet shutdowns, throttling, economic fallout. We've got issues with internet, firewall, VPN crackdowns. We've got social media bans and platform restrictions. We've got tighter controls through regulation. We've got blocking militant content as well. You wouldn't believe the layers of Pakistan and their technological issues as well. And we've got Microsoft's departure from Pakistan, full stop. A lot of stuff happening here. So we're going to dissect all of this today. And this will also be available on the YouTube in its own juicy piece. Every little piece we've covered today in its own section will come out as its own piece over on the Hermitology YouTube, okay? So let's deep dive. Okay. Pakistan has experienced frequent internet shutdowns and throttling, especially during political unrest. It's often during the political unrest at that. The protests or elections, it's just like Pakistan just really goes through it digitally. These actions are often framed as security measures, but are widely seen by digital rights groups as tools to suppress dissent and control information flow. Now, Pakistan is our O1 in this example. We are controlling what the rest of the globe sees from us. That's what I'm going to say. There has also been issues in India with this same scope, but we are saying, and in my opinion, when I think about Pakistan and why we're actually going here today, is because in certain relationships, in home and family, okay, when you're under abuse, you have to hide the domestic violence. You have to hide the abuse. You have to hide what's going on. Your husband, your wife, your family, they don't want the rest of the neighbours to know, or the rest of the family to know what you've just gone through. So you don't really go out. You stay in. You become a hermit. No one sees you. And this is the first time in history I've made such an inclination against the nation and their digital behaviour. Very concerning, yeah? Me as a safeguarding child protection officer and protector in early years in the education sector, making sure children are safe and protected, also brings up the same red flags about the citizens of Pakistan and their ability to speak out through social media, yeah? The example of this is connectivity once plummeted to just 20% of normal levels during a major disruption. So there's been incidents in India and Pakistan where there's political unrest, there's terrorism, there's war, there's a massive protest, there's a massive election, and suddenly blackout. Pakistan's off grid. You can't find Pakistan online. You don't know what's going on. Beautiful influencers from Pakistan, YouTube influencers, Instagrammers, different key figures from different generations around the world, important voices, people that give you important visions and insight into what the community is like really on the ground. They've gone cold. We can't see them. We can't find them. Scary. Really, really scary, because it just says we can go dark if we want to, yeah? The economic fallout around this as well. Economic losses from these disruptions has reached 1.62 billion in 2024, making Pakistan the world's leading loser in terms of cost from internet shutdowns. For every hour of downtime, the IT industry loses roughly 1 million. This adversely affects freelancers, small businesses, and even the healthcare and education sectors. So imagine influencers and creatives, unique individuals located in Pakistan, running their businesses. Think of all the different kind of businesses, IT companies, big tech, small tech, medium tech. All the corps in Pakistan suffer greatly under these circumstances, yeah? Not only that, authorities have implemented a national firewall known as the Web Management System to monitor and block undesirable content. VPNs, a vital lifeline for freelancers and remote workers, are being blocked unless registered under a restrictive regime. So Pakistan have actually even pushed for the blockage of VPN. That has been a conversation that has only now started to creep into the UK, as the UK have put in these new safeguards regarding registering your age online to make sure that children are not accessing porn. And that's created an increased VPN wave in the United Kingdom and calls for VPN to be blocked or improved. So much debate here, guys. It's really, really intensive. And what you've got to understand is the internet's global. That's why we keep talking global here, guys, because the internet's global. AI's global. And what runs the world? Should that be a pop quiz? We nearly missed the pop quiz of the week. Pop quiz. What runs the world, people? 5, 4, 3. Put it in the comments while you've got time. 2, 1. Technology. AI. Yeah? That's what runs the world here. Data. I would have taken any of those answers. So the truth of the matter is we really got to look at this. And it's influencing surveillance as well, controls. Pakistan is very, very much controlled at this time. Or any feeling of them not having control will immediately lead to the shutdown or measures and restrictions that give them enough control to feel safe. Because we don't want anybody to just see what we're doing, right? And it is scary because it keeps coming back to that childcare concern. We haven't seen that child show up to school for a few days now. Where are they? That's the same influencer hasn't shown up for school all week. They haven't put out their usual content on Friday at 3 p.m. What's going on? Has anyone else heard from the Pakistani influencers lately? No, let me have a little look at the list at the leading Pakistan influencers. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all out. Can't see any of them. Likelihood is they're struggling. Likelihood is they're at risk, yeah? We have Dev Protect for a reason. This is part of that as well. And we don't speak about this side of it enough. It's a shame, right? So social media bans and platform restrictions. X was blocked from February the 24th until May 25, notably during the February 2024 election and their aftermath. These restrictions were tied to national security and political instability as well. Messaging services like WhatsApp and other social networks face throttling or temporary shutdown during protests. For example, in November 2024, mobile internet and WhatsApp access were restricted in areas of Punjab during the PTI protests. It's crazy. It's crazy to me that a nation's going, fuck it, turn that off for a week. Fuck it, turn that off for 24 hours, can't risk it. What are we doing here? It's so scary to me that the world's going, no, we don't want to be seen, don't look at us. Like, that's how social media has become, like, I'm talking as a hermit from behind the screen, making jokes like, oh, I don't want to be seen, oh, I can't take it. But I'm one human being, I'm not a nation. You can't just turn a nation off. You know what, social media influencers had enough, oh, the media's pissing me off, no, I don't want to be seen, oh, paparazzi outside again, fuck that, I'm not going out, no, I don't want to do that press conference, no, I'm not putting out content for a week, I got really bad backlash, oh, I'm going viral over some bullshit that happened last year, and they've only picked it up now, fuck it all off. Pakistan's gone, yeah, we're going to run that whole ideology on the whole of the nation. Or at least in regions where things are rife. So it doesn't give you a clear picture of what's going on out there. And what I will say, internationally and globally, we need boots on the ground, you know? We need what I would refer to as, or how I have previously referred to, is what's created as representatives. So it would have been like her representatives and Hermitology kind of reps that provide intelligence and keep on-offline sustainability, because when there is serious economic unrest and warfare and danger in terrorism, how are we going to get people fucking aid? Do you get what I mean? Prevent famine, provide people, God, you don't even want to think about things like mass killings or really, really sinister plots and stuff. And you don't want to piss off the leading figures of Pakistan, but you've got to go, whoa, there's people here. And although it is region for region, nation for nation, we're still going to go one love. We are all human at the end of the day. And that's kind of what we stand for here. So we want every human to flourish, whether you're online, whether you're offline. Yeah, and we want you to feel safe that there's someone that you can go to anywhere around the world, because that is a very, very restrictive metrics to go, fuck it, turn off the whole nation just for a bit, turn off that region for a bit. It's so controlling, you know. It's unjust. It's injustice. Okay, that's what it is. So tighter control through regulation has also been a thing. In January 2025, Pakistan passed amendments to the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Act. That's the PECA, right? Prevention of Electronic Crimes Act, creating a new regulatory body with sweeping powers to block content and penalise users up to 3 years in prison or $1 million fine for spreading false information or criticism of state entities. This sparked widespread protests by journalists and opposition groups. Now, why this is significant is because this is the East, and the quality of life and the standards of law, legislation is very different in regards to the infrastructure in the West. So when the East can get hold of the West and go, injustice at 2:00, injustice at 9 p.m. Hold on, I've got a problem over here. Is this corrupt? Is this okay? Is this human flourishing or not? And the verdict from the West is saying, no, that sounds criminal. No, that sounds a little inhumane. Pakistan's saying, fuck that, stop talking to the outside about us, you know? And that's cultural as well, and that's scary, like I said. So I'm going to keep going, right? Blocking militant content. On July the 25th of 2025, Pakistan formally urged global social media companies, X, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram included, to block 481 accounts affiliated with terrorist groups like the Pakistani Taliban and others for spreading extremist propaganda, right? So there's a lot of issues with extremism and terrorism. We've spoken about that as well. So, and I've dived into the blackouts of Pakistan. I haven't dived into the terrorism of Pakistan. So, out of respect for Pakistan, I will also do a piece on that. You'll find that as a smaller segment on the YouTube channel eventually, because the reason that this is here is because the terrorism is bad, and some of the stuff we have seen, I mean, it's devastating. There has been dead bodies shown online, rape, and I want to say mass rape, but that's not the right word, is it? There's 3 women in one incident in Asia were practically stripped down and raped, gang raped by multiple men, part of the one of the terrorist groups. There's kidnaps, and there's a lot of stuff that's been filmed, and it was just like, whoa, we've got to shut down the internet so no one sees this. But it's the truth, it's reality, it's a real thing. And how else do we fix it if we don't know it exists? And it's scary to think that there's going to be black nations that just black out and then just deal with that. And Pakistan's got to do what they can, because they're getting in trouble by obviously global going, wait, what's going on here? You need to fix your nation. And they're like, well, we're doing the best we can. We're in the middle of terrorism. Just look away. Just leave us alone. So they're icing themselves out, but that makes them segregated from the rest of the world. And that makes the in-house fighting even worse. And it makes it more rife. And it brings more risk and danger to everyone in these locations. And it's really sad. It's really sad. Because there is an increased abuse rate of the citizen, and that's looking like rape and trafficking and kidnapping and hostage, and it's very, very serious, to say the least. Okay, Microsoft's departure from Pakistan as well. Microsoft officially exited Pakistan in mid-2025, ending a 25-year presence. I mean, who just leaves Microsoft like that? Although attributed to operational restructuring, insiders and former leadership cited Pakistan's difficult business environment as a factor. This is going to need to be a piece on its own as well. This exit is raising concerns about the future of digital transformation and support from Pakistan's local IT sector. What's going on then? What on earth are they using in Pakistan if they're not using Microsoft? No Word, no PowerPoint, no Excel, no Teams, no Copilot. And a whole load of terrorism, all blacked out and shut down so no one else can look at it. This is the first hermit state we've got on the grid, to be honest with you. It's awful, isn't it? So we're going to have to do a little series of Pakistan Watch. We're going to bring you some amazing Pakistan correspondents, reporters, people on the ground doing amazing things, speaking, and get them more involved in sharing what's going on. I mean, there's a lot to come, guys. I need time to process the weight of and gravity of this situation, and I hope you can also understand the sadness that surrounds this, because we want to improve the economic landscape for everyone, and the digital world deserves to be reached by everyone. If we haven't got the internet and we haven't got the freedom of what the internet provides, what do we have left? Because the internet connects you to places that you would never be able to reach. And if you are in the third world and you are in a war zone and there is terrorism and difficult stuff, then the internet is a safe haven and a place to go to and a safe place to make contact. The internet in certain instances is really that immediate emergency contact. It is the emergency services on the line. And Pakistan's going, no one's calling the emergency services on us. And I want to pin that ideology of global versus nation from a digital scope of warfare. I want to say contextualization in relation to that, but that's kind of a weird sciencey thing to say. But the contextualization of region, nation, global, and the digital cohesion of all of that is something that is now being green-lighted, 01, by Pakistan. And we're going to need to understand the gravity of that over the next decade, and anyone else that may choose to follow suit in that way, and what our roles are as leading figures in this world, corporations, whoever's engaging with this, and depending on your position, how we try and heal while simultaneously not doing very much. Does that make sense? Because we want to do less than more. Work smarter, not harder energy. We don't want to infringe on any nation. We don't want to create problems economically, create and increase war with our conversations. Like, even me speaking on this makes me think about, goodness me, I don't want to upset anyone in Pakistan, any Pakistan officials I wouldn't want to offend. But how can we just be a positive influence, a positive support? How can we still make sure humans flourish under these degrees of freedom, or a lack thereof? Yeah? Food for thought, guys. Feel free to share your opinions anywhere you can. And I'll be back soon with more.